Hi, fifth grade. We're going to start finishing our 2-point perspective. I had you guys do the basic the last time, so it should look something like this unless you decided to add different things to your drawing. But this is the corner of your building, and then all of your lines should be going back to the points. And remember, we're learning 2-point perspective, so there's 2 vanishing points, okay? So I've already drawn mine, but I'm going to go over it in pen just so you can see what I did. I started adding detail to a 2-point perspective drawing that I drew. And remembering that every single line in the drawing needs to go back towards the vanishing point. That includes those little tiny lines that you see in the windows, everything, okay? So I have a little sidewalk here, and I've also drawn the sidewalk back to those vanishing points in the top, okay? So as I outline it with my black markers, you'll see it more clearly, and I'm just gonna kind of show you what I did, and then you can finish it off with whatever type of color you want. Just remember that I'd like you to add some value to your drawing. So you have to decide where the sun is coming from. So if the sun is coming from this direction, this whole area is going to be lighter. This area is going to be darker, okay? So here we go. There's going to be a point where you're going to want to put down your ruler, and that's okay. Just make sure everything is going back to your vanishing point, okay? I'm using a drawing pen. It's a black drawing pen. They're kind of like fancy Sharpies. That's what I'm using for outlining. But they're very, these types of drawing pens come in several different types of thickness and thinness, so they're a good way to add value and do some outlining and stuff. So I'm just going to do some outlining on my drawing so you can see exactly what I've done. And at this point, because now I'm adding detail, my drawing is very loose. When you do something like this, it's actually called sketching or rendering. It's what I'm doing here with the building is kind of like a form of urban art. I'm just showing the outside of a building. And we kept it at one building. I told you guys to keep it at one building because this is new to you and I don't want to overwhelm you. But it can get pretty fancy when you start drawing multiple buildings, okay? So everything goes back to the vanishing point. Every line in the drawing needs to go back. This side goes back to that vanishing point. This side goes back to that vanishing point. So you can see that as I'm drawing, okay? And I'm just going over all the lines that I've already drawn. Back to the vanishing point. Remember, just like in 1-point perspective, there's certain things that need to go straight down. So like this corner line right here needs to go straight down. The side lines need to go straight down, okay? You can't really see much of those because I drew some trees in, but, and you can draw some trees. You can draw any kinds of details you want. You guys did really good at the first part of this. And so I think you'll have fun at this part because then you can start adding details. It's just a matter of remembering everything goes back. All these lines go back towards the vanishing point, okay? And eventually I'm going to erase my vanishing points, but I left them on there so you guys could see where they were. Okay, so everything back to my vanishing point, okay? So at this point here, I can, I'm actually going to draw an extra little thing here. I'm going to draw just a kind of like a sign, okay? And remember, it goes back to your vanishing point, so I'm keeping that in mind. I'm going back towards my vanishing point with this, okay? And then straight up and down with that one. Okay, so I want to make a couple of signs here. This is like a bookstore, coffee shop type thing, so I'm going to put cafe and then books right there, okay? So, and then these are just windows. So, in the next part, I'm going to spend a couple of minutes adding some color. I am now done with the drawing. I have outlined my building. So now you guys can see. So the next step is I'm going to erase my pencil lines and I'm going to start adding color, okay? I am a quick sketcher, so don't be intimidated when you're watching this video at how quickly I sketched out the building. It was pretty quick. I did a lot of this type of stuff when I was in college, so I'm very quick with it. So just take your time, okay? And most of all, have fun, because ultimately you're going to learn this again in middle school. And so at least you have a head start, okay? So now I'm going to go ahead and erase my vanishing points and my horizon line. Get those erased. Now I'm ready for some color. I've got different markers here, so I can start adding some green. Got a couple different types of markers here, but I'm going to start adding some green and some brown into my trees. This is really quick drawing. You can call it sketching or rendering. It's usually called rendering if you are doing something on the area of architecture, for instance, drawing a building, or you can just call it sketching. But I'm adding some quick, loose color to my drawing. And I'm going to use two different colors, just like we've talked about in the past, just to add some value and just reality to the drawing, okay? So we've got that going on, okay? I think my sun is going to come from this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my pencil here. I'm going to pretend that the sun is coming up from this direction. And I'm just going to draw a little bit of line there. That way when I go to add color in that area, I know that this side has to be darker, okay? So now I'm going to start on my building. And so I will probably use, let me see here, something with a very light tone. I think I'll use this pinkish, just to kind of add some color. This is, when you start doing this type of sketching and rendering in color, it's okay to have some white spots. The color is very loose. I'm going to show you an example right at the very end. The top of my canister with my markers has a very interesting drawing that will show you what I'm talking about. Okay. So, and I'm going to add a couple of different colors in this. Okay. Wait till you see what I do to the windows. I'm going to show you guys how to make your windows look like glass. Okay. Okay, so I've added some color there. And let's blend in some more color. This one I'm going to use a little bit more. I'm going to fill it in a little bit more. You can also use watercolors for this. If you have watercolor paints at home, this type of work also looks good in watercolors. But that's only if you have them at home. You can use colored pencils for this. You do not have to use markers. I'm just showing you some different things you can do. Okay. Now for the windows. For windows, if you take a light blue, like a very light blue like this, and just kind of quickly go through and make some strikes. There you have your glass. Okay. And if I want to, what I'm going to do here is kind of, I'm going to make my road gray, but what I need to do is make one part of the road a little bit grayer, and that would be this part right here. Because remember, this is where the sun is causing the shadow, okay, of the building. So within those lines I drew, I'm just coloring in some shadow. And then I can go back in with the lighter gray and color my road in that way. Again, you can do this very loosely. Not scribble scrabble, but just loose color. Okay, and then now remember, because my building is in 2-point perspective, this shadow right here is going to come out in the same direction that the building is coming from. Okay, that's why it looks like this area is a little different. Okay, so for my sidewalk roof, I think I'm going to make my roof a red here. Just outline my roof a little bit. It's a really bright colored building. I love bright colored buildings. And for my sidewalk, I'm going to use this brownish type color. Okay. And a light cream color for my doors. Outline. I'm probably going to go ahead and outline my doors and windows in black, just to make it stand out a little bit more. just like that. And my sign. Maybe the gray for the windows. I think I'll use the gray for the windows. The outline of the windows just like that, okay? Okay, so the only thing I have to do is I nearly forgot my tree trunks. So I'm gonna come along here and just brush in my tree trunks like that. Okay, so there's my 2-point perspective sketch. Remember to keep it simple and keep yourself from getting stressed out. Okay, the simpler you keep it, the easier it will be for you to finish. And on the top of this is what I wanted to show you that I mentioned earlier. The picture on the top of this can, it's called rendering. It's like a form of sketching, but you see how loose those lines are, but you can still tell what it is, and this is just another form of art, okay? So these are markers, but you can use watercolors to do stuff like that too, okay? So have fun. If you have any questions or any concerns, email me, okay? I will see you guys later.